Hey everybody, I wanted to do a quick video to show you how I made this card. This is a Happy Father's Day card for my husband, and I've got a new demonstrator that asked me about the distressing and stuff, so I thought I would just do a quick little video and show you how I did this card. It's, you know, pretty basic, but he's just a basic guy, outdoorsy guy, so he'll just love it anyway. Anyway, this is what we're going to make, and I'm going to start with my regular card base, which is 8.5 by 11, cut in half at 4 1/4, and then we're just going to fold it in half, score it in half, use our bone folder to get a nice crisp crease on it like that. And then I've got some layers here that we're going to be working with, and this is just a little accent layer that's going to go back here. This is 1/2 inch by the width of the card, which is 4 1/4. This one here will be my brown layer, early espresso. It will be 3 inches by 4 1/4. And then the very vanilla that I'm going to stamp on is 2 1/4 this way by 4 1/4, which is the width of the card. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I wanted to do is go ahead and stamp my card base to make sure that my image is going to be, you know, wonderful, and I don't have to redo it or try to hide it. And what I'm going to do is I'm using the Happy Father's Day out of the Teeny Tiny Wishes, and I'm so glad that this stamp set carried over into the new catalog. It's just so many great sayings. There's 24 different little sayings in there. Okay, I'm going to use my Early Espresso ink. And I'm using an old ink pad because I've got to redo my pads. Anyway, I'm going to stamp it on the corner down here, and you'll just have to watch. I know it's kind of cockeyed for you, but anyway, I'm just going to stamp it. 1, 2, 3. I want to let the ink absorb into my paper, and there I have it. It's not the best image, but I have another one that I will show you, which turned out better. So then what you do is, one way you can distress is you just rub one of our sponges. You cut it into 8 pieces here and rub it on the top of your ink pad, and then you can just take it around and kind of dirty it up. And this is kind of an outdoorsy looking card, you know, with the ATV on it. So that's all you do is just take that. That's one way of distressing. And I even did it on the inside of my card here just to make it look, you know, authentic. Okay. So now what I need to do, I'm going to show you our new distresser. It's in the catalog. This, I think it came in the holiday spring book. Anyway, it's got all these cogs here, and it's got a little razor blade in there. And all you're going to do is just run that along there, and you can see how this is another way of distressing. And it just kind of grunges it up. And you just do that on both sides. And I have another one done this because this is going to make such a mess. I like to do it over the sink. And then I'm going to also do it to this one too, but I want to stamp on that first. But both of these are going to turn out looking like this. You can see how that's kind of frayed looking. It just gives it a nice way to dress up a card without adding ribbons or weight, you know, or another layer. So what I will do is I'm going to go ahead and stamp my image here first, and I'm using the ATV stamp from the Need for Speed. This one just retired, and I'm really sad about that because I just got it, and I should have had it a long time ago, but I have a little happy face on there because that means I got this one for free, and that's how I just like to do that. It makes me happy to know that I got some of them free. So we're using the ATV. Got it on my ink block. I'm going to ink it up with the Early Espresso, and you can see on my card where it kind of gives the impression of movement, and that's from the way that I'm going to show you how I stamped it. So maybe I can do that on this card for you. So you're just going to take your stamp, and these grid papers are wonderful. You can line it up and use the squares on here to kind of get it even. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp, and then without re-inking, I'm just going to pick it up and move it 1/4 inch. So there's 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. And you can see it's a gradient, and it kind of gives the impression of movement. So just another way to make a different type card. And then I would finish it up, you know, and distress it, and then after that I would distress this edge even more. And I do have one done. This one I haven't used the sponge on yet, but I'll go ahead and do that real quick. Do all 4 sides. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll bring this base in. Oops. And I'm just gonna, I want to leave just very little, let me put this card out here so you can see kind of where I'm going. So I'm just going to leave a little bit at the top here, a little bit of the brown accent. Lay that down. Okay, now on this, I want this just to go back behind here just a little bit, just to see it, and it kind of goes with the trees here, outdoors looking. So I'll grab my snail, and on the top I'm just going to run a layer of snail, and then I'm going to turn this over so that I can kind of get an idea of how much space, because I don't want that to show very much, I just want it to accent. Okay, so that's done there. Okay, now what I want to do is just add a little bit of the linen thread. So I pulled a bunch off of my linen thread, and you can see when you take it off, see how it's got those marks in there? I just kind of run it through my fingers, a little bit of fingernail, not too much because you don't want to separate it, but that takes that away. So now what I'm going to do is leave a little bit of space here because I want to be able to tie this. So I'm going to leave some here, hold that down, and I'm going to wrap it 3 times and come a little bit excess here so that I have room to tie it. I'm just going to snip that off. Now we'll see how I can tie this. So I wrapped it under there so it would kind of hold it. So it goes around all 3 of the strands. Just make a little knot there, and you can pull it fairly tight, maybe even buckle your cardstock a little bit because it will have a little bit of give after it's all tied. It'll loosen up. I should have had this part done for you, I guess. This will be the worst part of the whole thing on this card. Okay, and then just pull it. Then what I see how it just laid out flat. Now I can just trim those a little bit. Okay, now what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the card. So I'm going to run some snail on there, and I want quite a bit of snail because I got that twine on there. I want to make sure that it lays down, doesn't pull up off the card. Okay, so we'll go ahead and layer this on the card base. Actually, I want this one. This one has a better stamped image on it. And I'm going to leave a little space, about 1/2 inch up at the top, and I'm going to lay that right down. Okay? Burnish it, make sure that that glue takes. Okay, now I have some little trees here, so I'm using, this is one of the 3 punch sets that you can get. I think they're going to carry over in the holiday book, I'm not for sure, but anyway. And I had a strip of green. You can see I've already punched some out. I just flip it around so that I get the benefit of the paper. Okay. I don't know where, here it is. So I've got several already punched out. I'm going to put 3 on the front, and I'm going to use glue dots to attach those to the front of this card. So you just see the glue dot there, and you just take that and put your little piece right onto the glue dot. And then I'm just going to lay those down. Here's the last one. Just lay that down. Try to space them out as even as you can. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside with my ATV. There you go. And then I have a couple other little trees because it looks kind of bare in there. So I kind of want to finish it out how I did here. So a couple more glue dots. And you see I distressed inside this card too. So guess what? This card is done. Just a nice little card, and I can write my little love note in there. It's just me and hubby home. The kids are gone now. But the last thing you want to do is you want to take your little name stamp and put your name on the back. You know, don't give a handmade card away without giving yourself some recognition on that. And here's a couple other little cards that I had done with the same stamp set. This one, I made something similar to this and gave it to my son who's in the Air Force. And then this is one using the car. And this one I used some of the glimmer paper and cut out stars. Did the inside. And this one you can see the inside. This one I just ripped the paper. Gave it a different, instead of distressing, I ripped it. That's another way of distressing, actually. So then, don't forget about your envelope. I ran my envelope through the chevron embossing folder. Hope you can see that. And you can see I just ran the flap through there. And I did have to fold it under so that it went through, but it didn't emboss the main part of the envelope. Then what I did is I took the sponge and I distressed all the way around that too. And I also stamped a little ATV on the front for my husband's cards. So that's how I did it. I hope that you can make some of these on your own. And even if you don't have this stamp set, if you've got something similar, this is how you would do something for movement. You just stamp it, lift it up a quarter, and move it a quarter of an inch. That's all you have to do on that. So I hope you make cards. You can go to sherrystampingroom.blogspot.com, and I have a lot of other samples on there. I have a few other videos also on basic card making, and you can order some of the Stampin' Up! Products right from my website. And don't forget to sign up for my you'll get an email whenever I post to my blog, and it'll come right to your inbox, and then you can go to the blog and see what I've posted. Pictures and maybe some tips and hints and specials from Stampin' Up! Or who knows what you'll see. Okay, thanks a lot. See you later. Bye-bye.